In this video, I'll show you how I made diffusion panels and bass traps using coffee bean burlap bags and insulation. 3 local coffee bean roasters were kind enough to set aside the bags with the nicest designs. I visited them before trash day a few weeks in a row to get a collection to pick from. Since I made my diffusion panels and bass traps after building my booth, I had a lot of insulation scraps that I could use. I used an electric bread cutter for cutting the insulation, but you could also use a box cutter. For the diffusion panels, I wrapped the comfort board with the furniture batting or a moving blanket. This would ensure that insulation fibers didn't find their way into my booth and eventually into my lungs. Then, I sewed the top edges together. For the bass traps, I did basically the same thing. After placing the insulation covered in batting into the burlap bag, I put the scraps of comfort board in between the layers of Roxel Safe and Sound. The coffee bean burlap is a pretty rough material, so it's possible that the fibers could become loose and float around inside your booth. So if you have the money, definitely purchase new burlap or acoustical fabric and sew your own bags. Finally, I simply screwed the burlap bag diffusion panels directly into the interior walls of my booth. Check out the blog post in the description to see the diagrams and materials list. I set out to build a professional audio booth for voiceover recording. Before I charged my drill, I spent 2 years researching everything from the science behind audio waves to room treatments such as diffusion panels and bass traps. While this is a how-to series of sorts, I am not responsible for any injury, destruction, or loss of any kind, including monetary, that you may incur while attempting anything inspired by what you see here. By continuing to read my blog and watch the associated videos, you assume all responsibilities for your decisions and actions. I can say that we avoided serious injury despite clumsiness and extreme heavy construction materials. I am not an audio engineer nor a carpenter. I'm just a voiceover artist in pursuit of a quiet place to record audiobooks, content marketing video voiceovers, and voice tracks for radio and television advertisements. Hopefully, you can learn from my mistakes and make an even better booth than I do. If you do, let me know about it. When my design is inspired by someone else's design, I'll tell you, or make a note in the description.